Good afternoon and welcome to today's meeting on the Senate Committee on Revenue and Economic Development. Will the Secretary please proceed to call the roll?
Senator Cruz Crawford.
Here.
Senator Steinbeck.
Here.
Senator Stone.
Here.
Acting Chair Dunyate.
And I'm here, and please mark Senator Neal absent excused. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to have two bills today for folks here in Carson City and in Las Vegas. Today, we will hear Senate Bill 269, which provides a credit against the modified business tax for certain donations to support GME, and we also have Senate Bill 412, which repeals provisions relating to financial institutions. For folks that would like to participate today, just want to go over just a few housekeeping rules. You may sign in at the front desk if you are looking to testify on support of the bill or against any bill that we have today. Of course, if there's any supplemental documents, feel free to send it to our committee secretary. We are going to start first with SB 269, so we'll go ahead and invite Senator Titus, and then we'll move on to Senate Bill 412 once we complete with that one. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open the hearing for Senate Bill 269, and Senator Titus, you may begin.
Well, thank you, Acting Chair Donate, and members of the Senate Revenue and Economic Development Committee for hearing SB 269. I'm Senator Dr. Robin Titus. I represent Senate District 17, which includes all of Douglas County, all of Lyon, all of Churchill, all of Esmeralda, all of Mineral, and part of Nye, specifically Tonopah. At the table with me is Catherine Villasenor, our intern, who is a junior at the University of Nevada, Reno, pursuing dual degrees in political science and philosophy. And also Stephen Lencioni, a student at the University of Nevada School of Medicine in his 4th year. He just matched for his GME at the Cleveland Clinic, but he'll tell you his own journey. Soon to be, Dr. Lencioni was the one that originally brought this idea to me, and I brought this forward a number of years ago. I've also asked Chief Principal Deputy Fiscal Analyst Michael Nakamoto to be available to answer any questions. He's a part of your committee, so he's very apt when it comes to modified business taxes and any existing requirements. Now I will have Miss Villasenor begin.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair and members of the committee. My name is Catherine Villasenor for the record. KATHERINEVILLASENOR. It is a well-established fact that Nevada is facing significant shortages in its healthcare workforce, consistently ranking within the bottom 5 states in the nation for physician-to-population ratios. Not to mention shortages in other areas such as surgery and specialty care providers. This critical shortage impacts Nevadans across the state and poses a risk to the health and well-being of our population. It is for this very reason that Senate Bill 269 is being presented to you today. There is a well-documented correlation between the location of residency programs and the areas in which medical professionals will ultimately practice in. We lose a substantial amount of aspiring providers to lack of program availability. By investing in graduate medical education, GME, Nevada can sustain and create new and existing vital residency programs in our state. These programs and fellowships increase the likelihood of students remaining in our state and serving our communities. Students are up to 76% likely to stay in our state when they have completed both their undergraduate and graduate education here. Nevada tends to have an exemplary record for retaining physicians in our state after GME. Unfortunately, very few students have the opportunity to stay in Nevada, even when they are incredibly qualified and driven by a strong desire and personal calling to practice in our communities. It is evident that both the passion and the need for additional residency and fellowship programs are present in our state. This underscores the importance of funding GME as a strategic solution to solving our state's physician shortage. Senate Bill 269 seeks to secure reliable and ongoing funding for GME, independent of federal resources. The bill proposes that a credit against the modified business tax be established for donations of up to $4 million for fiscal year 2027, with a gradual increase of 3% each subsequent fiscal year, ensuring that this critical funding is sustained over time. Section 1 of this bill establishes that businesses and taxpayers subject to the modified business tax who intend to make a monetary donation to the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program may apply for a credit against the modified business tax. The approved credit would not exceed the amount of any donation of money made by a business or taxpayer. The Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology will review this application and issue a decision within 20 days of receiving it. Upon receipt of the funds by the program, the office will issue a certificate confirming the credit. However, if the donation is not made within 30 days of receiving this notice, the credit would then be forfeited. In addition, the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology would be required to notify the Department of Taxation of any approved applications, issuance of certificates, credits, or forfeited claims. Furthermore, we will be incorporating an amendment into SB 269, as recommended by the Department of Taxation. This amendment establishes the effective date of this bill as July 1st of 2026, ensuring that the department's legacy system is not disrupted, as the modified business tax will be programmed into this system through December of 2025. We believe that this adjustment is both prudent and helpful, as it eliminates any need for programming costs. Additionally, we have seen other important and highly appreciated legislative initiatives introduced this session, particularly by Senator Pezzina. It is encouraging to witness a multifaceted approach to this issue, as progress is not only necessary, but imperative to meeting the healthcare needs of Nevadans statewide. We recognize that through these efforts, the entity that would approve these credits would change from the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology to the Committee of Health and Human Services, an effort which we wholeheartedly support. In summary, a commitment to graduate medical education is a commitment to a healthier and better served Nevada. I will now pass it on to Steve.
Acting Chair Dunyate, members of the committee. My name is Stephen Lencioni. I'm a fourth-year medical student at the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine. Today I'm speaking on my own accord as a proud Nevadan and soon-to-be physician, not on behalf of any institution. SB 269 is not just a legislative proposal, but a vital investment in the health and well-being of our great state. The expansion of Nevada's physician workforce is not a matter of convenience, it's of urgent necessity. The passage of this bill will accelerate the growth in Nevada's graduate medical education pipeline, ensuring that we build a healthcare infrastructure capable of serving our diverse and rapidly growing state. The problem we face: upon completion of 4 years of medical school, new physicians are required to complete mandatory residency, also known as graduate medical education, or GME. This is typically 3 to 7 years of training before we can practice independently. Across the United States, federal funding for hospital-based GME has failed to serve the needs of all Americans, leaving rural and underserved areas like many parts of Nevada in persistent physician shortage. More than 2/3 of Nevada's population resides in federally designated primary care shortage areas, and nearly 90% of our population lives in mental health care shortage areas. We rank among the lowest in the nation for active physicians, primary care doctors, and general surgeons per capita, and this is not a new problem. We've remained at the bottom of these rankings for years with little change. Despite these challenges, Nevada has a promising opportunity. While we are increasing the number of medical school positions, our GME growth has not kept pace. Without sufficient residency and fellowship opportunities, we risk losing our homegrown medical talent to other states. Physicians tend to practice where they train, and data shows Nevada retains over half of those who complete training here. It is time we capitalize on this strength by making targeted investments in GME expansion. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. Other states have already demonstrated effectiveness of GME expansion initiatives. Between 2012 and 2018, Georgia invested $19 million in residency grant program that added more than 600 new residency positions, 75% of which were in primary care. Texas created a grant program that resulted in 19 new residency programs and 154 new positions. Wisconsin, Indiana, Minnesota, and Idaho have all enacted successful initiatives that have increased residency slots and expanded access to care in underserved areas. At the federal level, bipartisan legislation has added hundreds of new Medicare-funded residency positions, but this alone is not enough. Nevada must take control of its healthcare future and ensure we are not left behind. The path forward. SB 269 establishes a tax credit for businesses or individuals that contribute to the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program, helping fund new residency programs and new fellowship programs. This initiative directly addresses one of the biggest barriers to GME expansion, the high startup costs, which can range from $1 to $2 million per program. With a 2 to 3 year lead time for new programs before they can capture Medicare funding, we must act now to ensure future generations of Nevadans have access to quality medical care. One-time funding is simply not enough. This bill is about sustainability, ensuring our GME funding is value creative, economic inclusive, ensuring we serve the needs of all Nevadans, not just 1 or 2 institutions. By empowering new entrants, both hospitals and community training sites, to enter GME, we can elevate healthcare and expand access for everyone. And this is not just a healthcare issue, it's an economic and workforce issue. Physicians are job creators. In Nevada, each physician supports on average 12 jobs, contributes over $1 million in wages and benefits, and generates over $75,000 in local and state tax revenue. Expanding GME will boost our economy while simultaneously addressing our physician shortage. Finally, I wanted to end with a personal story. My wife and I found out last week that we had matched into residency. I matched into family medicine and she did dermatology. We matched at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, a very well-known institution in the medical community, very highly respected. And despite our love for this state and despite our desire to complete our residency in Nevada, we were in a pickle. We simply could not stay here because there's no dermatology program in this state. This needs to change. And my story is not unique. Online, you will see several of my colleagues share their own stories about how they could not continue to practice in this state despite their desire. So the choice before us is clear. We can continue to be a net exporter of medical talent, or we can invest in a battle-born physician workforce that will serve Nevada for generations to come. By passing SB 269, we will create a sustainable GME funding mechanism, encourage public-private investment and partnerships, and provide opportunities for new residency programs across the state. This legislation will not only increase access to healthcare, but will also strengthen our economy and position Nevada to be a leader in medical education and innovation. Please take bold action today to secure a healthier tomorrow for all Nevadans. Thank you very much.
Acting Chair and Committee, Senator Titus, for the record, that completes our testimony. We are happy to open up to questions, and if you have any questions about the kind of financial pathway and how that works, we have our Chief Principal Deputy Fiscal Analyst here to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Titus. Committee members, any questions? Senator Stone.
Thank you, Senator Titus, for bringing this very creative program to us. There's no question we need more GME education here in Nevada, understanding especially that 70% of our residents that do residencies here are going to stay here, and congratulations to you. I wish we were keeping you and your wife here in Nevada where we really need you. So Dr. Titus, this is going to raise, heaven helping us, $4 million a year and a 3% increase every single year. Do you see these funds going to existing residency programs, or do you prefer to see us starting new residency programs, and the effect of this program on the rural areas, which I know you represent a lot of?
So thank you for the question, Senator Stone. This is Senator Titus. For the record, my perception is that's why we're doing it into the grant program and the advisory council, which has already been established to manage these grants. And so they will decide best where then that this money goes out to. The reality is its intention is to start up these programs. And so that's the intent of this. And now that we have that grant program established, it's a good pathway for them to determine which programs are the best to start up, and they have to be viable. And these programs take a long time to start. We lost a residency program in Elko for lack of funding. They got it started, and then there wasn't anything else forward to it. So I think that these funds are going to be used best by that grant advisory council.
Any other questions? Senator Steinbeck.
Thank you for the presentation. So this $4,120,000, approximately how many resident positions would that fund?
It can take any, Senator Titus, for the record, and we have people who can testify on what it takes, and if that's all right with you, Acting Chair Donate, I'm going to have Dr. Spogan, who has started a residency program, who can actually give you true numbers on that.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Spogan. It takes approximately $200,000 per year to educate one resident, so it kind of gives you an idea. It doesn't take too many residents to gobble up the money that we're talking about. But having said that, the cost of starting up a new program is somewhere between $2 and $3 million.
So it'd be $2 or $3 million to start it up, and then $200,000 per student moving forward. Is
Right.
Following that correctly?
Per resident per year, right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Cruz Crawford.
Thank you, Chair. How much do we allocate as a state already for these programs?
It's Senator Titus for their answer, for the response to that. Thank you for that question, because it's really important. Currently, which is a very good reason why we have a bill to maybe change where it's currently housed, where the GME monies are. Each year, we've allocated funding to the GME program. Currently, it sits in the Office of Science and Technology. They have $8 million, had $8 million to try to get a residency program started. They were not able to get the program started, so the money unfortunately reverted back into the general fund. It takes time, and that was a thing and we're changing that up now with this money that is allocated, one-time shots in the governor's bills or one-shot appropriation bills, say $4 million. If it's not used, if they're not able to get that resident started, it will be sustained and brought forward. That's the advantage to this particular bill, is it doesn't revert back to the general fund because it takes time to get these programs. You have to hire the professors, you have to sign in with, you have to get accredited, you have to do through the match program. And by the way, Senator Stone, just for clarification, he matched at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland. There's no residency for his family here in Nevada for his wife to do dermatology here. So he's going to be going back to Cleveland, Ohio, and hopefully he will come back to Nevada. But that's the whole gist of this is, so we currently have $8 million that was allotted to residency program, but never got to a residency program, a GME program, from general funds.
I guess my biggest concern here is such an important program, we need to fund it, is that it's like we're trying to circumvent our priorities almost, because that $4 million that we're getting, it's like you're now getting to choose what program you're able to put it in. Does that make sense?
So Senator Titus here, thank you for that need for clarification. That is why Senator Pazina's bill from last session established the advisory council, so that, and it's a cross-reference of the deans, hospitals, the programs, to make sure that what you're concerned about doesn't exist. So that's already there. It took a long time for us to get that started. We now have somebody to administer that. It's going to, hopefully if the bill passes, her bill passes, it's going to be now moved under HHS so that they have oversight on where these programs are. What's our priority? What residencies do we need? So it can be very clear pathway where this money is funding. There's no circumventing any of this. And that was the beauty of that bill last session that we started because of those type of concerns. And so That bill already passed. This session, it hopefully will be moved into the HHS department, which we feel is better able to serve that. The membership has already started. So this monies then will be used by people who are very knowledgeable on what's the priorities, where does this need to go, what residencies do we need to address, and how best to address that.
That $4 million and then $4.125 million. If we did not have this program in place, though, that funding would then go to our general funds and then be calculated for uses with the government.
No, this is a very unique program. That's the difference, Senator Titus, for the record. That's the difference with what we're asking here. These are not general fund appropriations like we have been funding our GME programs, which is why you have this up and down funding. The governor might have $9 million in it, and then, due to budget cuts, he has $5 million, and all those very wavering monies. That we're not saying we still may not need general fund appropriations, which is up to whoever's in the executive office, and it also depends on the monies we have. This is the whole purpose of why we need this program. This is guaranteed funding every year that's not based on whoever's there in the executive branch deciding how much to allocate based on the economic report. None of that. This is monies that people can, taxpayers, that they can get a credit towards the tax that they have to pay, and they can acknowledge, they can designate it that it goes to this program. We already have this in place, and I'm going to actually ask fiscal staff Nakamoto to please explain that, because there's something that already exists, and that's part of the template that we're using. If that's okay. Sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doniate and members of the committee. For the record, I am Michael Nakamoto. I serve as Chief Principal Deputy Fiscal Analyst with the Fiscal Analysis Division. In reference to Senator Titus's comments and the existing program, the bill that is in front of you today is modeled after a similar program for donations to scholarship organizations for education choice that was put into place during the 2015 session. And basically, a taxpayer can make a donation under that program to a scholarship organization, or they can apply to make a donation, and once the application is approved, once that donation is made, they are able to earn a tax credit against the modified business tax. So this is patterned similarly. To the extent that there are donations, it would result in a reduction of modified business tax revenue for the state, but that is also predicated on donations actually being made. And I hope that provides you some clarification, Senator Cruz Crawford.
Yes, one more question. So right now, let's look at that $4 million amount. My concern always with tax credits is that we are still taking money out of our general tax revenue. And so, bills like this are always concerning because we know that maybe there might not be $4 million for this programming, so we're circumventing that tax money into this program. So, that's just always my general concern with tax credits, because then it gets out of our priority list, right? And ends up. I think it's a very important program, but I think we need to just be very cognizant with bills like this.
Senator Titus, and thank you, Senator Cruz Crawford, for pointing that out, because I am one who have never supported deferred tax credits because they don't pay tax credits. They don't pay the taxes. One of the things about a program like this that I can support, the taxpayer gets to identify perhaps where their taxes go and what their priorities are. So, and that's a huge difference here. They're still paying money into what otherwise would maybe go into the general fund as a tax, and then where does it go? There's essentially, this is a credit towards a tax they're paying. It's not deferred. They can't sell this. It's not transferable. But whoever decides to put this money into this grant program is essentially paying the tax, but they get some skin in the game. They get to designate where they want that to go. And that's why we capped it at 4 million, even though, because of your concerns about is it taken away from our general funds and other revenue, when we know that transferable tax credits, we have no control of those, and they sell those, and we can talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars, where this is very distinct. It has a pathway to make an absolutely huge difference. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, and that's my concern is, then we get to the point where, like, I don't have kids, so I don't need to pay for general school or road, I don't drive, so I don't need to pay for roads, and so that's always just a concern, so I just wanted to put that on the record. I think this is a very, very important topic, but when we start selecting places that we want to put money in, sometimes it's not, it comes, we're circumventing the system is what I'm saying on the record. So I appreciate this piece of legislation. I see the need for getting more GMEs, and but I did want to share that.
Thank you. I appreciate your concerns.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Tice, I did have a few of them. Just these are more technical on the bill. If you can help me answer them. I know that in other states there's a maximum in terms of what tax credit can be applied for the taxpayer that is looking for that credit. Specifically, Georgia was the one that I saw that potentially had that. Did you have that in consideration, or how did you? What language did you copy? Not copy, but did you take ideas from for the bill for this one?
I'm going to turn that over to fiscal staff. It's my impression that we modified it, what we did with our educational ones, and so.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Vice Chair Doniate, Michael Nakamoto for the record. My understanding is, if I'm understanding your question correctly in terms of the limitation on how many credits can be issued to one person, I do not believe that there is anything different than what is in the existing program for education choice, in that an individual could apply to make the entire donation and earn all of the credits up to the statutory maximum. Based on the criteria for making the application under the existing program. Basically, it's first come, first serve. It's my understanding, I think it's June 15th, the Department of Taxation opens up the applications for the Education Choice Program. And so then the scholarship organizations can submit the applications for the intended donations on that date, and then the Department of Taxation processes them in the order that they're received up until they hit that cap. My understanding of this bill is that it would function the same way.
Great, thank you so much. And just to verify, it sounds like through the dialogue of other committee members that the tax credit program would have to still be applied. So right now it's OSIT. If it moves in different legislation to another office, that's a different discussion. But the committee that was established in 2023 would have to be the ones that approve whether or not the tax credit would go into effect.
Senator Titus for the answer. Actually, the Department of Taxation is the one that decides about the credits. The council decides where that grants then go.
Okay.
So it is regulated through the Department of Taxation, giving them the
ability
okay,
to get the tax
exactly.
credit. Okay.
But once that money's in that program, then that advisory council that we voted on and supported is the one deciding then where
Or to be delegated. Okay, got it. I know in other states they have looked at targeting underserved portions of the healthcare system versus specialties. So, like, for example, someone may come and say, Nevada has a shortage of plastic surgeons. But is that really the need that we have for our patients? And so there's been a discussion as to whether or not these tax credits should be applied to specific shortages or areas of need, specifically rules or et cetera. Have you had conversations in that instinct, or is it more just broad in terms of letting the council be the decision maker for that?
Senator Titus, for the record, and Acting Chair Donate, thank you for that question, because I think it's really important to understand that during the testimony, when we created that advisory council, it was the purpose of them identifying critical areas that this money needs to go to. So it's not any one person, it's not any department, it's not any one location in the state. That council is made up of 20 members throughout the state in healthcare. And so they're being charged with not only this funding, but the funding that the governor, say from the general fund that he has in his budget, that Senator Pazina has in her budget to allocate to GME. Hopefully, there's a better perspective on where this money goes so that we don't have, 10, no offense against plastic surgeons that might be here, but that maybe that's not where all this funding, and they're really dialing down to what areas do we really need to serve Nevadans.
And I think the last thing I just had, it was more of a recommendation. I think that in other states, they from my understanding of the issue, they have passed these tax credits, but to prevent one institution from taking all of them, right? Then obviously they have the limits in terms of what can be qualified per taxpayer. I guess the only thing is, what would stop a hospital from coming in and applying for the tax credit as part of this program with no promise that they're actually growing their GME slots? Because they can make the argument that they need the tax credit in order to continue sustaining the GME program that they have, but there's no promise that they're going to expand or deliver on new programs. And then now they can come back and ask for other funding mechanisms as part of what we're doing with other bills. So I guess that's more so what other states have pushed it more towards actually passing the benefits of the tax credits towards preceptors and the residents themselves versus the institutions. And so I don't know if you have had that conversation as well.
Thank you for the question, Senator Donate, Senator Titus, for the response. I think it all circles back to that advisory council, because again, if you look at the makeup of that, it has hospitals, it has universities, it has a multitude of different folks that are on that. So we have use that as a mechanism to decide where this money is funded. We recognized a couple sessions ago that all your concerns are there, like this money wasn't, in my mind, getting used to the proper location, not just this money that we're looking for GME, but the money that we had already supplied for GME. And so we felt last session that this needed some better oversight, and that's why that passed. So the issue here is that we already have GME funding that's been out there unused because we didn't have anywhere for all your concerns. As far as the tax credits, the tax commission are going to decide if somebody wants to come and look at a modified, say, hey, I have $4 million, I want to put it in there, I'm happy to, and then it's kind of would be a win-win for everybody, actually. They're going to say supply it all at once if they have that much money to do that. But it has nothing then that they're going to get the GME slots, because that's not how this plays out. Because a hospital has donated money for the modified grant in this program doesn't mean they're going to get $1 of it back. It doesn't mean that it could be some benefactor, some other businesses in the healthcare community that wants to support GME too. They too can do it. This isn't about, the hospitals actually, frankly, already support residency programs. That's not what this does. This forms, again, a grant that some business who was responsible for the modified business tax could donate money to this, saying this is we're invested in healthcare in this state. It could be a trucking industry. It doesn't have to be even a healthcare person that does this, but it's saying, hey, I've got to pay this tax. I'd really like to see it go to healthcare. My mom couldn't get a doctor, so I'm committed as a business owner. I want to put it into this grant, but it doesn't mean that then the hospital, if they did do this, is going to get that money for the residency program. Not if that committee doesn't think it's appropriate. Maybe they will get help for one of their slots, but that's not connected.
Got it. Thank you so much. And I think that concludes our questions. I don't know if Senator Stone, did you have one last one?
Thank you again for the presentation. And Dr. Titus, based on about $4 million, it was mentioned about $200,000 of residency. So we're looking at 20 possible residents, which is fantastic, and I think it's a very appropriate use of taxpayer money. $4 million is a de minimis amount when you look at the total budget of the state of Nevada and the benefits of getting these 20 residents. But could you just articulate how many residency slots we have in Nevada today, and what ideally should be our goal? How many do we really need to keep up with the growth of our population and to improve these physician to patient ratios?
Great question. I'm going to have to phone a friend on that one.
I don't know the answer to that either.
Oh, I'm going to have, see, we have lots of friends in the audience.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Blaine Osborne, Nevada Rural Hospital Partners, for the record. Great question, Senator Stone. Research by the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine shows that we could use 2,500 doctors tomorrow in the state of Nevada to reach the national average. 2,500. With the 3 medical schools in the state of Nevada, as I understand it, this graduating class and each graduating class is in between 300 and 400 students statewide. And of those, we're keeping fewer than half of those residencies here in the state.
I can follow. So we're filling about 500 slots, and we need about 2,500, so we're at about 20% of where we need to be. So I know there's multiple bills to establish more GME, and I just wanted to exemplify the need, and I appreciate your testimony.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. All right, at this time, let's go ahead and if folks can take a step back so that way we can invite those who would like to testify in support of this bill to please come forward. We'll do it here in Carson City and in Las Vegas if there's anyone there. Go for it.
Thank you, Chair. Blaine Osborne, Nevada Rural Hospital Partners, for the record. Just thrilled to be here in support. We think this is a wonderful bill. As you heard in one of the Q&A earlier, unfortunately, we did lose a rural residency program. It was 2 years ago, June of 2023, that the rural residency program in Elko unfortunately had to shut down, leaving Nevada with just 1 rural residency program in the state, Winnemucca, with only 2 residents per class currently. So we would love to have more resources to be able to grow that residency program, as well as expand or bring another rural residency program back to the state. Senate Bill 269, we think, is just another tool in the doctor's bag, if you will, to help us do that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair Danyante and members of the committee. My name is Jordan Griffin. For the record, that's spelled Jordyn-Griffin. I am a third-year law student at Boyd School of Law down in UNLV. Alongside, I am a legislative extern this session with Roe Law Group, and I'm here testifying today on behalf of UNLV in full support of SB 269. So Nevada has a doctor shortage, and we need more doctors in our state, especially in Las Vegas, with our capacity going up to 300 million residents at the moment. And SB 269 will incentivize donations to medical schools in Nevada that will help fund residency programs and fellowship positions in a consistent manner, which are essential for training doctors after medical school. The UNLV Kirk Kerkorian School of Medicine at UNLV knows expanding residency slots is key to attracting and retaining more doctors here in Nevada. With our rapidly growing population in Southern Nevada and the state as a whole, investing in medical education still ensures that we are ready to provide the quality of medical care our community really needs. So therefore, we are in full support of SB 269. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon. Acting Chair Donate and members of the committee, my name is Damon Schilling, SCHILLING, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for Intermountain Health. We are here in strong support of SB 269. As a leading healthcare provider in the state of Nevada, we understand the urgent need to grow our physician workforce. This bill offers a smart, strategic way to invest in our state's future by encouraging private sector support for GME. By providing a tax credit for contributions to residency programs, SB 269 helps us train and retain more doctors right here in Nevada, improving access to care for all Nevadans. We thank Senator Titus for bringing this bill forward and urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Allison Herzik, Director of Nevada Government Relations for Dignity Health St. Rose Dominican. I'll just echo the comments made by my colleague from Intermountain Health, and we want to thank Senator Titus for bringing this bill forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Senator Donati and committee. My name is Daniel Spogan. I'm the physician that spoke earlier. I'm from the University of Nevada School of Medicine in the Department of Family Medicine. And we'd really like to have Steve Lencioni as part of our team, but he had to move on, as you heard. I'm also past president of the Washoe County Medical Society and currently on the executive board for the Nevada State Medical Association. But I'm speaking for myself. I was the site director at the ELCO program. My position was developing and maintaining the residency program in ELCO. It's really underserved area. When we got to ELCO, the patients there did not know what primary care was. So that's how important it was to have our program there. Most of the physician salaries actually come from clinical revenue, but the resident salaries actually come through GME support. As mentioned before, that's roughly $200,000 per year. Some of that is offset by clinical revenue as well, but not all of it. And so that's why needs to be ongoing funding. As mentioned, it takes about $2 million to start up a residency program. We were lucky enough back in 2010 to get the governor's fund to fund that program to get started. So we actually were lucky enough to get started, but sustaining it was an issue. The thing that we found was that the hospital decided that they no longer felt that they could support the residency program. And what we found was the people that were funding the residency program were from outside the area. The Northeastern Regional Medical Center is actually a corporation from Tennessee. And so the people that really benefited from having a primary care residency were not making the decisions on whether or not the residency would stay there. So we felt that we needed another way, and that's what I like about this SB 269 is it's another way to give funds that Nevada can contribute to Nevada and help us develop more physicians in our rural areas. Thank you. Please support 269. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, committee. Sheila Braid, Director of Government and Community Engagement with the University of Nevada, Reno. We'd just like to voice our support and specifically to thank Dr. Titus for her engagement throughout the interim session on this and her continued support for GME. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Mr. Interim Chair, for the record, my name is Victor Salcido, and I'm with Community Health Alliance. Community Health Alliance is a federally qualified health center serving over 32,000 patients in Washoe County at 6 different locations. We offer primary medical care, dental care, a full pharmacy, food pantry services, and behavioral health. We're here because even though we have been fortunate in our recruiting efforts in the primary care department, we are not immune to the challenges you've heard of recruitment and retaining of primary care physicians. As a federally qualified health center, we serve everybody, regardless of ability to pay. And so our mission is to increase access to medical care. And so anything that we can do as a state to help address the shortage of physicians in the state, we're going to be in strong support of. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair and Committee. My name is Sabrina Schnur, Sabrina Schnur. I'm here today on behalf of the Nevada Public Health Association and the Nevada Primary Care Association, which is the state's FQHCs. Mr. Salcedo did a great job explaining what our federally qualified health centers do, but we are in support on 2 sides for this one. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair Donate and members of the Senate Revenue and Economic Development Committee. My name is Jacqueline Nguyen, Nguyen, and I represent the Nevada State Medical Association, the oldest and largest organization representing physicians in our state. We'd like to thank Senator Titus for bringing forth this bill. NSMA has long advocated for the financial support and growth of graduate medical education programs as one of the most effective ways to increase access to high-quality health care in our state. And this has been an advocacy priority for NSMA for well over 2 decades, looking at the need for GME expansion, not only for primary care, but for specialties and subspecialties as well. We're grateful to this body for all they've done in recent years to support GME funding, and we appreciate the ability for everyone in our community to make donations to the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program. SB 269 allows for the private sector to invest in the healthcare of all Nevadans, and we urge your support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Chris Bosse, B-O-S-S-E for the record. I'm the Chief Government Relations Officer for Renown Health. Here today in support of SB 269. Certainly appreciate the Senator's approach and her creative approach to solving or helping to solve this problem. As was noted earlier, it's certainly a long way from being solved, so we're going to need lots of effort in this space, and we just really appreciate the Senator bringing it forward and hope you all will support this.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Kelly with the Nevada Hospital Association. GME is very important. We always support the expansion of those programs. And I just want to take a moment to really thank the sponsor of this bill, because this has been a lifelong effort, it seems like, for her to expand graduate medical education in Nevada. And we really appreciate it and appreciate all that she does and everyone who's worked on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else here in Carson City? Let's go to Las Vegas.
Hello. Hi, my name is Kelsey Little, K-E-L-S-I-E-L-I-T-T-L-E. I am a fourth-year medical student here at the Toro University of Nevada in Henderson. I am luckily matched here in Las Vegas for a primary care specialty in family medicine, so you were able to keep me. I'm very happy to be here. I'm speaking on behalf of Toro, and we are in great agreement and hopeful that SB 269 will pass. I'd like to thank Senator Titus. She has really brought forth the problems that we have as resident physicians here in the state. Coming from Elko, seeing that residency program go away was very disappointing. I was in high school at the time, pretty much, whenever it did. So thank you all for considering what our problems as resident physicians will be here in the state. More money coming from either the clinical sector or wherever this tax would be coming from would help all resources for resident physicians, and including resource resident physicians means that our community members would get better health care. So anything that you can do to help, we're greatly appreciative. Once again, thank you, Senator Titus, for speaking up for us. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? AVH, is there anyone online?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 269, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits in your phone number of 154, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you may continue. Caller, please press *6 to unmute your microphone, and you may continue.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Samantha Barnes with Career Nevada on behalf of Roseman University of Health Sciences. We want to thank Dr. Titus and here in full support of Senate Bill 269, as we will admit our first class of 60 medical students in July of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. There are no more callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to opposition. Is there anyone that would like to testify in opposition? Please come forward. And please begin.
Good afternoon, Alexander Marks with the Nevada State Education Association, the voice of Nevada educators for over 125 years. NSCA opposes Senate Bill 269 to create the $4 million tax credit for the graduate medical grant program. We agree wholeheartedly with Senator Cruz Crawford's comments. It was stated that this was modeled after the Opportunity Scholarship Voucher Program, so that's certainly one reason that we would be in opposition. There's no doubt a need for medical residency programs, but a use of the tax credit model to fund the development or expansion only serves as an unrun around the regular budget process. A $4 million tax credit means Nevada revenues would be decreased by that amount. We would just encourage the legislature to consider a budget appropriation for this program so possible expenditures can be compared to other state needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing none here in Las Vegas AVH, is there anyone online?
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, neutral. Is there anyone that would like to testify in neutral on this bill? Seeing none here or in Las Vegas AVH, is there anyone online?
There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Senator Titus, do you have any closing remarks?
Senator Titus, for the record, first and foremost, I appreciate this committee hearing the bill. I know it's been a tough committee session for you, and taking the time for what I feel is very important legislation. It's critically important to the state, but I do also recognize the challenges in hearing any of these bills these days, and appreciate the time you've allotted. Over the period of time that I've been in this building, there have been multiple bills brought over by many folks for GME education. Ample testimony has been presented, many sessions, certainly with Senator Pezzina's bills and mine from last session, how important it is to keep our medical students in this state. As in my many sessions here in this building, we've expanded the healthcare training from nurses to doctors to lab techs to the public health sector. One of the things that's really been hard to do is expand the number of GME slots that are here. You've all heard this before. It's really important, and it takes time to expand the GMA slots. I think that we have put really good checks and balances over the period of time in that grant funding advisory council, I think, is super important. And just to be clear, this isn't the only source of funding for GME. This is one of the sources of funding. It's one of the things that will be guaranteed source of funding with the amount of money. And as I stated early into my testimony, what we've run into right now is it's based on the amount that in the governor's budget from $9 million to $10 million to $5 million, and it's very predictable, and this is on the low side of any of those designations. To be concerned about the amount of monies that are in here taken away from the general fund, it's just not founded, because we've used this much greater figures to fund this. It's just not guaranteed the next time it'll be there. So one of the advantages of this, and I started out at a low number, frankly, because of the very real concerns about where's our funding for education, where's the funding for this other much needed stuff as a priority. So $4 million is a very low figure to start this program off. And so I really appreciate you hearing it. I would appreciate you considering it as a very important need for sustained funding. And I thank you all for your time and wonderful questions.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Senator Titus. I know that both you and Senator Pezzina have been leading on this issue, so I just want to thank you. And of course, to our students for participating. I know it's always great to have students be a part of the political process, and so I thank you for taking your time and coming here. At this time, I'll go ahead and close the hearing on this bill and move on to our next one, which is Senate Bill 412. This bill repeals provisions relating to financial institutions, and I would like to welcome Senator Pezzina. So please begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having us here today. To Acting Chair Doñate and committee members. For the record, my name is Julie Pezzina, representing Senate District 12 in Clark County, and I'm pleased to present Senate Bill 412, which revises the excise tax on financial institutions. And I'd also like to say it's very serendipitous because graduate medical education is so close to my heart. So I always love to walk in and hear people expounding on how important GME is. However, today is 412 that I'm presenting today with Mr. Paul Moradkin from the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce. I'll provide some brief overview remarks and summarize the conceptual amendment, which should be on Nellis. I hope everyone's had a chance to review. And then I'll hand it over to my very confident and ready to present co-presenter. Background information on this particular bill. In order to increase state revenue, the Nevada Legislature enacted in 2003 during the 20th special session an excise tax on banks.
During a subsequent special session in 2005, the excise tax was specified to a $1,750 tax on a bank for each branch maintained by the bank in Nevada in excess of one branch office maintained by the bank in each county. I know it sounds confusing. The tax is collected quarterly and generated for the general fund approximately $2.25 million in fiscal year 2023 and $2.16 million in fiscal year 2024. As currently drafted, SB 412 would repeal the excise tax imposed on bank branches in excess of one per county, which would take effect July 1, 2029. However, per the conceptual amendment that we've proposed, it would not repeal the excise tax. Instead, it would maintain the $1,750 excise tax, but the tax would only be imposed once per calendar year instead of once per quarter. The amendment also changes the effective date of the bill to July 1, 2027. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Paul Moradkin.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Donate and members of the committee. For the record, Paul Moradkin, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. I'd like to thank Senator Pazina for bringing SB 412 forward for the committee's consideration regarding the bank branch franchise tax. The purpose of the bill is threefold. One, to help maintain Nevada's competitive tax structure. Two, to reduce a targeted tax on an industry that does not generate much revenue compared to other state taxes. And three, to help modernize the state's tax structure. As you heard from Senator Pazina, the bill was adopted in 2003 by this body and implemented in 2004. Since that time, the revenue that has been generated by this tax is not significant to the general fund in the Chamber's opinion. As you heard from Senator Pazina, the tax is charged once a quarter at $1,750 per branch with certain specific caveats. According to the Department of Taxation, in Q4 23, the Nevada Bank branch excise tax generated approximately $558,000 for the quarter, or approximately $2.2 million in total for the entire 2023 fiscal year. The Chamber believes that the existing bank branch tax has little revenue potential, as the tax specifically penalizes brick and mortar banks in Nevada compared to online and out-of-state banking institutions. This is especially true for smaller and local banks as they evaluate the cost of expanding bank branches in Nevada in both urban and rural settings. From a tax policy perspective, the Chamber believes the tax is narrow, industry-specific, and does not generate the significant revenue from the state and the manpower involved to implement and collect those funds. That is why the Chamber supported the efforts to reduce this tax and modernize our tax structure with the passage of SB 412, and thanks Senator Pazina for efforts to bring awareness to the issue and help move our tax structure forward. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you so much, and we stand ready for questions. We thought we'd be a quick presentation today.
Thank you so much, Senator. Any questions from committee members at this time? Senator Cruz Crawford.
Do you have a number of the reduction in taxes we'd be collecting?
Julie Pazina for the record, and through you, Chair, to Senator Cruz Crawford. I don't have an exact number, I can find one, but I will say that if you were to look at what it was for 2024, 2.16 million, I would imagine divide that by 4. But I can't swear to that, and I can ask for a more specific answer.
No, that's good enough for me, that math.
I'm
Thank you so
gonna
much.
let Mr. Nakamoto answer that question because maybe he can talk more about the fiscal impact.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Michael Nakamoto with Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. Because the bill under the conceptual amendment would not take effect until FY 2028, the current biennium or the upcoming biennium would not be affected. The forecast for this particular tax in FY 26 and FY 27, though, is around $2 million per fiscal year. So the moving it to a once per year tax instead of a once per quarter tax, you're right, you would take that and divide it by 4. So you would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about a $1.5 million per year reduction to the state general fund. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Senator Song?
Thank you for the presentation. And you made the argument that this really favors online banks that don't have to pay these excise taxes. Do you think with the passage of this bill, do you think that we'll see more bricks and mortar banks opening up in Nevada, especially in some of the more rural counties where there might be a shortage of these types of banks?
Through the vice chair to chair, for the record, Paul Moratkin with the Vegas Chamber. Senator, that's a great point, and yes, we do think it would help retain certain bank locations. If you look 10 years ago, when the Chamber commissioned a tax study report in 2015, this tax generated a little over $3 million. And as the bank branches close, the revenue from this bank revenue does decline. And we consistently have seen that over the last 10 years, that it's about $1 million less than 2015. So your point is absolutely correct, sir.
Seeing no other questions, let's go ahead and open it up for testimony. If you would like to testify in support of this bill, we ask for you to please come forward. I only see one person in Southern Nevada, or two people in Southern Nevada, so let's start there.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair Doñate and committee. Thank you. My name is Phyllis Gergovich, PHYLLIS-GURGEVICH. I'm the President and CEO of Nevada Bankers Association. We just want to say thank you to Paul and the Chamber for working on this bill and to Senator Pezzina for bringing it forward. As you know, bank branches do play a crucial role in supporting local communities, providing financial services, fostering economic growth, and enhancing financial literacy. When I shared with my members that this bill was being introduced and going to have a hearing, my members asked me, all of them asked me, please thank Senator Pezzina. And they also asked me to share a couple of stories. One's about a bank that only has branches in Nevada, and they were looking to expand and add another branch to Carson City. And it comes down to being able to pencil it out and making it feasible, operationally feasible. So definitely SB 412 would help this bank add another branch. Another bank that has branches both in California and Nevada did their preliminary research, and it indicated that it was actually going to be less expensive for them to open new branches in California. So here again, Senator Pezzina's bill, SB 412, could help level the field and really benefit Nevada. So by encouraging more banks and branches, Senator Pezzina, through SB 412, stands to provide more support for Nevadans with access to checking, savings, home loans, credit services, and other essential financial tools. Bank branches also provide a physical location for cash deposits, withdrawals, and in-person assistance, fraud prevention, dispute resolution. For small businesses, bank branch locations offer support through loans, lines of credit, and also having bankers available as financial consultants to advise and provide mentorship, guide businesses on cash flow, expansion, investment opportunities, and more. There's many other benefits and conveniences. Even as digital banking grows, physical branches remain vital for fostering financial inclusion, supporting local economies, and building strong community relationships. So thank you again, Senator Pezzina, for recognizing the need and encouraging a healthy bank branch network in Nevada. And thank you.
Good afternoon, Acting Chair Donate and members of the committee. My name is Maureen Schaefer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Council for a Better Nevada. We'd like to thank Senator Pezzina and Paul and the Chamber as well for bringing this very important bill forward. We are testifying in support of SB 412. The Council's interest in this bill is in the context of the state's larger public finance system, which has supported Nevada as one of the fastest growing states over the last many decades, while simultaneously enduring crises impacting our economy and budgets in both short and long-term cycles. This legislature has worked diligently to address both growth and those crises with decisions like SB 412, and while well-intentioned with the goal of short-term needed fixes with revenue, this and other collective actions over decades fall into one of three descriptions the Institute for Tax and Economic Policy, or ITEP, described Nevada's finance system as upside down, outdated, or narrow. We agree. SB 412 reflects a needed correction to a larger unmet challenge Nevada still faces, modernizing its public finance system to facilitate and promote equitable changes in this industry and promote current and future needs of Nevada's citizens and growth of Nevada's economy. Until then, SB 412 is a thoughtful fix and encourages a greater conversation about the long-term and sustainable needs of the state's public finance system. Please support SB 412. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? AVH, let's go online, please.
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Let's move to opposition testimony. Is there anyone that would like to testify in opposition to this bill? Seeing none here or in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone online?
The public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
And last but not least, let's move. Oh, referred neutral. Anyone here in neutral for this bill, please come forward.
Becky Dutro, representing Nevada Taxpayers Association. Although the association has not taken an official position on this, we do like to remind the committee the guiding principles of evaluating tax policy and making sure those are sound. And with equitability, similar situated taxpayers should be taxed the same way, and the tax system should not favor or harm one industry, one group of taxpayers, or one type of investment at the expense of others. With SB 412, it is moving towards getting towards these good tax policies. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing none, AVH, is there anyone online?
There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much, Senator. Seeing none, no closing remarks, we're going to go ahead and close this hearing, which brings us to our last agenda item, public comment. If there's anyone here that would like to provide public comment, you can please come forward. Seeing none here, we're in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone online?
The public line is open and working. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much, AVH. That concludes the items for today's meeting. We will have one on Thursday, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. Thank you so much, and meeting's adjourned.